Trade Union Federation Cosatu members take to the streets countrywide, with workers across the country expected to abandon their post on a national day of action. The Workers' Federation says the protest is against the socio-economic factors faced by the workers, including the current levels of load shedding, crime and corruption, wasteful expenditure and issues of wages. Cosatu says the nationwide strike action is protected under Section 77 of the Labour Relations Act and is expected to affect major urban centres and cities in all 9 provinces. SABC economics reporter Katlego Legodi is in Johannesburg at Cosatu House and now joins us live. Katlego, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. I wonder what Cosatu's reaction is. I know it's still early in the morning, but what Cosatu's reaction is to the response to the nationwide strike and also the backlash from some economists.
A very good morning to you, Eldrin, and to our viewers at home. Cosatu members are just gathering here outside of Cosatu House in Braamfontein to try by all means to more or less prepare themselves for their National Day of Action. This is their headquarters, and this is where we're expecting to see the office bearers as well just coming down here and trying by all means to lead that march that will move through Braamfontein and end up at the Premier's office in the Johannesburg CBD. They are, of course, more or less taking issue with a lot of things, socio-economic challenges on the ground that have impacted the workers over time, and they're calling for something to be done here. Also reaching out to the private sector and government to ensure that some of those issues that they've listed as their demands are adhered to. It's not the first time, Eldrin, that we are seeing Cosatu take to the streets, and today they're actually exerting pressure. What they're saying to us is that what they're trying to do here is to ensure that they mobilize the workers and they go to the ground and try to put pressure on government and the powers that be, the private sector, to ensure that there's change and a move in terms of the socio-economic challenges and the challenges that the economy has faced over time. I'm going to bring into the conversation now Cosatu, a second deputy president, this being Mr. Duncan Luvuno, who just let us in on the demonstration here today. We are seeing that your members are gathering. The police are also on standby. We're expecting that this march here would start at 10 o'clock, and now we are seeing that at least there could be a little bit of a delay here, looking at the fact that the members are still gathering here. Welcome to the SABC.
Thank you for having us, and morning to your viewers.
Let us in, sir, on what we can expect here. Members are, expected to gather here in their numbers. We're just seeing a handful of them gathering here. We're expecting this march to start at 10 o'clock. Is that still the set time for this march to move?
Well, yes, indeed. The plan was to start. Maybe before I go to that, let's firstly extend condolences as Cosatu on the deceased on the gas explosion that happened in Egurulane. We're extending condolences as Cosatu on that. Coming to your question, yes, indeed. The plan was that we need to be starting at 10 o'clock. However, it will be maybe determined by how fast our members are gathering and coming. You know, our transport system is not good. It's not good. It's not up to standard. However, we'll be in constant interaction with the offices that we are going to hand over the memorandums.
Let us in on what we can expect here today. We know very well that there are various areas where this memorandum of demands are going to be really delivered to, and one of them being the office of the Premier. How are we expected to move from Cosatu House?
From Cosatu House, of course, we will indeed go to the Premier's office and send a memorandum. We've interacted with them. We are going to pass as well and send a memorandum to the Department of Labour, as well as the South African Human Rights, which is in Bram Park. We'll be sending all these memorandums to them.
Let us in on those issues that are pertained within that memorandum of demands. We know very well that some of these issues are not new issues. They are long-standing issues like load shedding, the unemployment crisis, some of the socio-economic challenges that have really have been faced by workers over time. Let us in on these issues, and how do you then expect to get a response from the powers that be that you're submitting these memorandums to today?
Thank you for that question. I think what is important that should be noted, as a federation which comprises of main affiliates, our main task or our core functions is to look after our members or look after all workers. However, it simply means that, among other things, we must be always be on the streets and advocate for these things. We cannot sit down. Among other issues that we are fighting for is the issue of corruption. Hence, we are going to, through the laws enforcement, speak about the issue of corruption and crime. Why we are saying that? Corruption, it denies service delivery. It makes service delivery not to come to the poor of the poorest, which is the workers and us the poor. Again, the issue of the of corruption, it also goes to the Zondo Commission. These recommendations that were sent are not being executed. How many people are in jail for those things? We're saying that, you know, as a federation, we cannot sit back because people at the coal face are workers and the poor. Again, the issue of unemployment. Unemployment has reached ballooning proportions to an extent that if we are saying that the repo rate has been raised by 50 basis points, who's going to be paying? Where are we going to get these taxes? In the same is what we have done with the president at some point. They decreased the percentages of the tax that should be taxed from businesses. If businesses, of course, were saying that we're reducing their tax, they should be forming part and parcel with the government in creating jobs. We're not seeing them doing that. However, we're saying that it is not only the government's role to create jobs, also the private sector, because they are benefiting with these tax cuts that they are getting.
It was last year when we saw you guys take to the streets on a similar campaign. This time around, you were terming it, or that time around, you were terming it as a national shutdown. Today, it's a national day of action, and it doesn't look like things have moved since you guys delivered that memorandum last year. What are you expecting to happen that is different from what happened last year when you guys joined SABC and other members in a bigger group to try by all means to exert force here and pressure? What are you expecting to happen that is different from what we saw happen last year?
Actually, maybe that's a mistake that the media ordinarily makes, to think that you just must fight only once or must do action once, and from there things change. That's not how it is. You will remember that even with in Gauteng, the issue of paying it all, and it was the very same Cosatu which advocated and fought that we are going to fight this tooth and nail. Until such time they come and listen to it. You remember it's the very same Cosatu, not once, doing action only once or twice. Many a times that even this 350 that they are getting, the citizens are getting, it came from Cosatu. Even the just energy transaction that actually is everywhere, everyone is speaking about, is the very same initiative of Cosatu. By intensifying and continually going through the street and fighting, it is not a one-day issue. However, there are many gains that we are seeing. We are forcing them, actually we are forcing even the government to say, let's continue and speak of this. Hence we are saying that the Amendment Act, even in the municipality, is something that we are going to fight perpetually until such time the human rights of workers whom are in the public sector have been denied a right to participate in politics. That's a pure human rights violation. Hence we are saying that it's not something that you must go and fight and say, I'm finished, I fought this thing, now we're going to sit in the office. Our role is not to sit in the office as a federation. We should be seen day in, day out, fighting these issues on the street, advocating for them, until such time the government and private sector respond to our issues.
Did you get a response from the last time that you submitted a memorandum of demands? Because usually when you submit these memorandums, you give the powers that be the timeline or time frame to say we want a response within this time frame. Did you get a response from that time that we can say that at least we are seeing a little bit of move from the last time that we saw you guys take to the streets?
I would say that these issues that are confronting our socio-economic issues are multifaceted. Even the approach itself, it requires that. Hence, I'm saying that there are issues whereby we've been responded. There are issues that they've created a platform whereby we can engage in offices. Hence, we're saying that we can't say because we're still engaging maybe the ruling party on this issue, or the government, our government of the day, on the issues of this amendment acts and so on and so forth. We can't say, no, government, since we're engaging on the side, we're not going to go to the street. Our members should see us putting pressure, even if we've been given space to negotiate or talk about these issues in offices or behind closed doors.
Just before I let you go, just economists, analysts are saying that this is more or less you guys just demonstrating against yourself. You're part of the tripartite alliance. You are basically in alliance with the ANC and the SACP, and we still find ourselves here with these challenges of corruption and the likes. Some of those issues that over time we've seen exist, and as part of the tripartite alliance, what have you been doing to try by all means to ensure that some of these issues become a thing of the past and your members as the workers are protected here?
Maybe they need to stick to economics, not to politics. Why we're saying that? They are not coming out and say Cosatu because we're heavily advocating and the SACP for in the NHI. We've been advocating for that. We're realizing fruits now. They are not saying Cosatu, SACP, you've been fighting this thing of minimum wage. We have minimum wage now because of Cosatu in the very same government, in the same alliance as well. We're saying that they are disingenuous and untrue. To say
Load shedding is not a thing of yesterday. It's a thing that has been here over time. Even corruption is not a thing of yesterday. NHI and the likes, those are bills. We know very well that is what you've been exerting pressure on. But these issues that you're advocating for today, corruption and the likes, social grant and the likes, those are not issues of yesterday.
These things of social grants, look, we just told you now that workers are getting 350. We just told you now again that we are even advocating for this grant to be increased because of the repo rate and interest rate that has been hiked. And again, maybe these economics, these people from the economy, they must also speak to the South African Reserve Bank, whom their macroeconomic policy is not assisting us. They are always increasing they are also increasing interest rates, and the very same interest rates that they should be talking about or advocating that should not be raised, because ourselves as workers and the poor, we have to absorb. When they are increasing interest rate, we have to absorb these things. Hence, these economics, they are not genius. They are not genius. They are disingenuous in what they are raising.
Mr. Duncan Luvuno, thank you very much, sir, for your time. He's coming through as the second deputy president of Cosatu, just outside Cosatu House, talking about really how then they are mobilizing and preparing themselves to move from Cosatu House to the Johannesburg CBD, where they'll deliver those memorandum of demands. I'm going to ask my colleague briefly, Kena, to show you what is happening behind us right now. These are members of Cosatu. They are gathering in, drips and drabs. We're expecting that at least from 10 o'clock, that was the time where this march was expected to get underway. But it doesn't look like they're going to be moving at that particular time. But they're convinced that members are coming through, and these members will form part of those that move from here, Cosatu House, to the Johannesburg CBD.